this is Regina and Bill with Saba County Friends of Animals, and we have a special guest with us today. We're real excited to have William Garrido. He's with Canis Fortis Dog Training. So welcome, William, and we're glad you're here.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here with you guys.
So William, we're excited here about the company that you have. You basically train dogs.
Yes, sir.
You're centrally located here in basically the center of Texas. You're
Yes,
located in Lomita,
Yep.
and you service all the way out to Austin, Liberty Hill, Georgetown, the
Yes, sir.
Brownwoods, San Angelo too.
Yep, I had clients from San Angelo. I had 2 clients from San Angelo, and I've also had clients from Dallas, New Mexico. So from all over the place, wherever they come from, I'll take them.
Okay. So how long have you been professionally training dogs?
So this is my 15th year, so 15 years professionally.
Okay.
And I counted not from the first time I had a dog, but from the first time I stepped into a dog training school. So
Okay.
I went to a trade school, and that's how I got started training, working with dogs.
Okay, so what inspired you to start training dogs? I mean, learning this craft doesn't seem like something you would learn in a week. You don't wake up on Monday and decide, I'm going to train dogs by Friday.
Yeah, so I was in the Coast Guard for 6 years.
Okay.
Prior to this, and so the way it works with the military, you don't just put your 2 weeks notice in. You have to do a contract. Either you do a 4-year contract or a 6-year contract. So I was coming up to my 6th year, and I had to make a big decision. I was like, do I stay for another 4 years? It's not like I'll think about it, So I had to make that decision. Do I stay for another 4 years? If I stay for another 4 years, that puts me at 10 years. If you do 10 years, you might as well do 20, and then you retire. So it's a big pivotal point for a lot of people right around that time frame. So my thought was, what if I do something interesting, something that just seems like I would have more interest in? And that's when I started to look at this as a career, and that's why I decided to do that. So it's been a process ever since. I'm still learning. I'm still very thoughtful about the whole process. So it's something that to this day I am still studying.
Understand. So tell us a little bit about your location and what you've done to help make it your training with the dogs a big success, and where you're located.
Yeah, so I'm in Lomita right now. So about 20, small town. Those of you guys that live in Saba, you know where Lomita is.
On the way to Lancaster.
That's right. A lot of people don't know Lomita. This is a tiny little town in Lomita.
But pretty convenient. It's got a lot of convenience.
Yeah, it is. I like that we have plenty of space. We have 5 acres. It's all fenced in. And that's one of the things that a lot of my clients like. It's what I really like about it. I have the freedom to work with these dogs. I don't have to worry about traffic. I don't have to worry about distractions that are entirely out of my control. So that's just one of the things that I'm blessed to have. My clients love it. I love it. So that's pretty much how it works.
And so your dogs, they stay in your home?
Yes, sir.
And then are part of your family's routine?
Yes, absolutely. So
that's unique.
Yeah, so I do this. It's a lifestyle. I mean, even my hobby is dog training.
Okay.
Even as a hobby, I do protection training for dogs. So it's something that I'm very invested in. I don't even think of it as a job. So I don't look at it as I gotta clock in, I gotta clock out, and I gotta take my weekends off. So because we take a few clients at a time, we're not taking 15, 20 dogs at a time. It allows us to assimilate it into our schedule. We take the dogs out first thing in the morning, we work them throughout the day, we have them exercise throughout the day, and then at the end of the day, right before they go to bed, we take them out again. And yes, they do stay in our home. So we have our garage got converted into a dog room.
Okay.
So we have the runs there, we have some crates, we have a mini split, so we got AC, heater whenever we need it, and I add classical music, literally 24/7.
I was going to ask you, what classical music are you playing?
So yeah, so there's like 3 or 4 pieces on there. I just can't remember the names off the top of my head, but it's actually there is some evidence. I don't know exactly where, but there is some evidence to suggest, you might be familiar with this or not, that certain frequencies do have a common effect, you know, on the body, on the person. So those are the pieces that I have playing on repeat 24/7. It's pieces that match that frequency criteria, and I really see it. I mean, I had dogs that the clients would tell me, this dog barks all the time, and it doesn't take him but like a few days. And sometimes you could be walking around my property, you know, even near my house, near the dog room, and you can hear a beat, nothing.
And
So it
frequencies.
really, I'm telling you, it really makes a difference. I've been around a lot of kennels, and so, you know, it's not normally like that. There's always
When we get our
somebody's always making noise.
when we get our shelter, that's something we're definitely going to have
I'm
to
telling
talk to you about.
If you implement it, you're gonna notice a big difference.
I'm gonna go home and get my Sonos all hooked up, and they're gonna play just certain music 24/7.
It works.
in the house,
It works.
especially
seriously-
around the doorbell. So, you said you take only a few dogs. So,
Yes, sir.
How many? What is the max dogs that you would have in your facility at a time?
So normally I'll stay within a 3 clients at a time.
Okay.
So 3 clients at a time, that's more than enough, you know, for us to be comfortable. I also have some other sources of income, so, you know, I have some social media, my YouTube channel is monetized, so that helps a little bit. So dogs that are boarding with me, just 3 dogs.
Okay.
And then I have clients that also do private lessons. So the private lessons, you know, they're not, I'm only seeing them once a week. So it's not like, so I could have 3 boarding and training, so 3 dogs that are staying with me, and then I'll have like 2 or 3 private lessons that I see once a week.
Okay.
So, you know, they don't interfere with the 3 dogs. Sometimes I'll have like 4 or 5, but that's just like an overlap. You know, like a dog's getting dropped off on Tuesday, and 2 of these dogs are going home the end of the week. So for a period of time, I'll have like 5 here and there.
When you overlap. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Well, it looks like you've set yourself up for success, or you're set the dogs up for success, where they're actually getting
Yeah.
one-on-one time, more time with each dog than having to go through the rounds with everyone.
Absolutely. It's definitely more of a quality, you know, versus quantity. Yeah, I want him to spend a lot of time with me. I wanna really put a lot of work into each dog.
Okay. So you've trained a lot of working dogs over the years, police dogs, personal protection dogs, and you've gone to Afghanistan to train contract working dogs.
Yes, sir.
How much of the training overlaps before you get to get into the specialized training?
You know, at the end of the day, they're all dogs. You know, I've had this discussion of this question in slightly different ways. So one of the questions, with the way you just laid it out, you know, specialty, but then, you know, how much of the basics before you go into the specialty. It's one of the questions that I'll get sometimes from people that have certain breeds, and they're like, I have this breed. They're, you know, you have to be like this, this, and this with this breed. And yes, every breed, every specialty, they have their own nuances, but they're all, once you peel them, they're all dogs. So a lot of the basics are the same, and the basics essentially can boil down into how does a dog improve its situation? You know, how do they get what they want most? And based on their drives, based on their temperaments, based on their genetic traits, that will dictate whether they even want to do this specialty stuff. If they match the criteria to be a working dog, if they match the criteria to be a scent detection dog that is going to look for explosives, if they match that criteria, then all we do is we go, okay, here is now how the game slightly changed for you.
Okay.
But to them, they're not looking for explosives. To us, they are. To them, they're just looking for something that they want. So a lot of it is the same. It's the same thing with protection training. Protection training is essentially the same thing. We go, okay, you know, we understand the foundations of this dog. Does it match the criteria to be a protection dog? And if the answer is yes, then we go, okay, now here's a series of things that we do in order to make it so that you benefit from this activity. So that's essentially, how that goes.
Okay, I get it. I mean, you've got your basic training to go in, but then, like you said, if there's criteria met, then you can go down
Absolutely.
down the different pathway.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. Well, I see that you're also an author. Can you tell us about the books that you've written and where can we purchase them at?
Yeah, thank you for that. So the books that I've written are they're all on Amazon. So if you go to Amazon and you put William and Garido, you're gonna see the 4 books that I've written. So one book, the first one I wrote was Common Myths About Dogs Debunked, and that book, just real quickly to tell you about that one, it's a short read, but it's a compilation of a bunch of myths, really.
Mm-hmm.
Where like you hear these all the time. Like, just to give you an example, one of the things that is on there, like one that I've heard for a very long time is you shouldn't play tug with your dog because that'll make him aggressive. Now, a lot of us know that's not true, but some people believe that. You know what I mean? So the book is basically filled with some of these little myths that go unchecked. And I talk about where it comes from, why people might feel that way, and how it actually is. So that's the first book I wrote.
I think we're gonna have to buy that one.
Yes, and we will be linking, by the way, we'll be linking all of these books on our resource page on senseofanimals.com.
Yeah, it's a really short read, so it's almost like bullet points. So there's no 30-page section about me or anything like that. Super easy to read, very short. The other book is on protection training. Another book I wrote is on how to select the right dog trainer, how to screen the right dog trainer. And this, I didn't write this as a pamphlet to, hey, come look at me, I'm the best one, nothing like that. It was written for anybody, anywhere. So if you're in New York, you can buy it, you can find a trainer in New York. The thing about the dog training industry is it's unregulated.
Really?
So it's very unregulated, which makes it, which is a good thing, and it's also a bad thing. And so the bad thing about it is, Joe Schmo down the street could say he's a dog trainer. He might have the best intentions, but if he doesn't have the right skill set, he could possibly do a little bit more damage, even if it's accidentally, maybe not maliciously. Right? So the book, that particular book is written to help pet owners. Again, it's a short read. It's not like this long book. It's like bullet points, like section by section by section. That's how I like to write. And so that book basically tells you how to screen dog trainers. What are some possible red flags to look for? What are some keywords that you're looking for? What does the initial consultation feel like? How it should feel like? All of that. So that's another book that I wrote. And then another book I wrote was for dog trainers. Basically a bunch of lessons that I've learned over the several years that I've been doing this. And I compiled them into one book. And it's basically for dog trainers. So, if you're a dog trainer, there's a section on how to avoid burnout. How to learn more, how to maximize your time, how to arrange your schedule, that kind of stuff.
Understood. No, that's some good stuff. We'll probably be buying those books tonight. And again, we'll have links on those. I'll put links down in the notes on our social media copies of this interview as well. On your website, and we'll say this correctly, it's canisfortis.net. That's
Correct.
CANISFORTIS.net.
Correct.
You've got 3 different programs listed. You board and train's 1.
Yes, sir.
You have private lessons, it's 2, and then you have a hybrid program.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell us a little bit about each of these programs, and do you offer special customized training programs that are not listed on your website? I'm sure you get some people called up and goes, "Oh, let me tell you what I want."
Yeah. Yeah. So the services are really they're set a certain way to help as many people with their specific issues as possible,
Mm-hmm.
and they're in different formats to help them with their specific situation or maybe with their specific budget. So boarding and training is just the dog stays with me. There's a little bit more to it than that. I'm not one of these guys that is, leave your dog with me, I'm gonna train him, take him home, good luck. You know, I've done that before early in my career, and I noticed that there were some issues there. You know, I can train your dog, I can tell you, okay, make sure you do this, this, and this, and this, goodbye, call me if you need anything. Problem with that is you're probably not gonna call me because you're gonna feel like, oh, maybe I'm just calling too much, right? So the boarding and training is, you know, your dog stays with me for a month, everything is included, so training equipment, everything's included. When you pick up the dog, we're gonna do a lesson. So we're gonna go over what I did in that month, and we're going to walk you through some of the things that you need to learn in order to know how to maintain what your dog's already learned. Okay, and then after that, you take the dog home, and then for 3 months, this is just in the board and train, for 3 months you have unlimited access to me, and I make that very clear to all my clients. So basically I tell them, look, you're gonna get a login for a video library that I made just for clients, not YouTube. I have a video library that is just for clients. So it's much more thorough, much more in-depth, and there's various topics on there that address just about anything your dog could possibly be experiencing.
Okay.
Right, and it's step by step, this is how you address it. So they've had access to that for the 3 months after they take the dog home. Additionally, I make it clear to them, you can contact me, and like if you have 10 questions per week, and we have to schedule 10 phone calls per week, we schedule 10 phone calls per week. If you want to come back for additional, you know, follow-ups, like if there is something that maybe I did not make very clear, if there is something where your dog maybe could use a little bit of sharpening, bring the dog back with you, you know, and we'll do like a follow-up lesson, and we'll do as many of those as you need for those 3 months. Because my goal is, I don't want to just train the dog for the month and then wish you luck. I want to make sure that we train that dog for the month. You get the training. That's where you get access to the video library, but you also get that follow-up support for those 3 months, because the making or breaking is going to happen in those 3 months after.
Right.
You know what I mean? So once that's over, then if they want to continue with the you know, with the support, and they want to continue with the video library, then it's just a low monthly fee for that, you know, until whenever they decide to pull the plug and carry it on their own. So that's the boarding and training.
Okay.
The private lessons are, they still get the follow-up support, but the private lessons is we see each other once a week for 5 weeks. So for 5 weeks, once a week, you come to my place, we do a lesson, and you know, we cover whatever it is that you specifically need. And I've had a wide range of problems that can be addressed that way. So it's not cookie cutter, like, okay, day 1 we're gonna do this, this, and this, day 2 we're gonna do this, this, and this. It's more like, what is the problem that you're having? We're gonna start addressing some of these things on day 1, so that when you take them home, you can right away start implementing some of these things. So that way, you know, the problem you're having, it goes from like a 10, we bring it down to at least a 7.
Okay.
And so every lesson after that, we work towards that. And then after the 5th lesson, same thing. You get 3 months of unlimited support with me. You get access to the video library. They actually get access to the video library from lesson 1 if they do private lessons. And same thing, if after the 5th lesson they have 10 questions, we get on 10 phone calls. If they want to bring the dog back for another lesson to make something clear, then we do that. So that's the private lesson. And the hybrid program is basically that, but kind of on steroids. You know, it's like the dog, instead of 4 weeks, the dog stays with me for 5 weeks. In those 5 weeks, you know, I do a lot of training there, and then in the 3 months, right, we do a lesson, like pretty much every week. So it's just a much more intense version of that, but it's combined, and we're gonna do boarding and training, and we're doing private lessons, and it is part of the package. So that's essentially it, and that covers really anybody with any issues. I've had dogs that, you know, their owner's complaints where he doesn't come back to my dog is hurting, injuring my other dog. What do we do about this? And so not so much obedience related, but more like behavior modification related. So typically it works that way.
Such a great alternative than rehoming your loved pet.
Yes.
Get it some training, and,
Yeah.
and there's a solution other than rehoming.
Well, when you're rehoming, you're not fixing the
No.
issue.
Yeah. Now, I will add something here, to that point actually. There are some instances in which rehoming sometimes is the best option. The only example I'll give that is, and I agree with you, in most instances that's not necessary. Just a matter of strategies, right? Something you don't know, that once you know and your dog knows, smooth sailing. But there are instances in which there is a very big mismatch, which is, one of the things you guys probably are aware of. Like if you have a dog that is 80 pounds, very excitable, young dog, super pumped, happy to be alive, and a lady that's 90 years old
Yes.
tells you, I
Yes,
want that dog,
absolutely.
Yeah.
you wouldn't do that, right?
No.
So,
Right.
but there are times where that happens. And so in those instances,
Yes.
that's when we go, maybe
Yeah.
you both will be happy if Fido was with somebody a little bit younger, right?
Well, I've seen some dogs. Okay, this might be more of a single dog
Yeah.
home.
Yes.
And then, we had a dog who we took in had been shot in the face, and as things unraveled, we found out more about the story. Well, its original owners, it was too much for them. They were getting up in age, and it's a working dog, and they were looking for a pet, and they knew that, but they just realized that it's more than what they needed, and
Yeah.
the rehoming just turned out to be a total disaster. Just to put it simple.
But the original owners were believed it was a good home.
Yeah,
and
it just didn't work.
Things fell through.
And now I can tell you that dog is running on 40 plus acres chasing cattle right now. And
Enjoying life.
I saw him last week.
He's in heaven.
Yeah, he's loving it. I was talking to his new owner, and I said, well, how's he doing? How's he sleeping at night? He goes, if he wants to come in, he knows where the dog door is. There's a bed there laying there for him.
That's awesome.
The dog would not get out of his truck to come see us because he was afraid he was coming back. And I think we're good to him.
He was like, I'm on vacation, what?
Yeah. But I totally understand rehoming is not necessarily the solution, and you've got to be very careful, especially with the temperament of a dog. I know that when I got a dog for my kids, I want to say that was the most research that I had ever done on a dog. And because I was looking for temperament, I had a 3-year-old girl and I had a 7-year-old boy, and I knew cheeks were going to get pulled. I knew hugs were going to be given, and
Sure.
I didn't, I needed a temperament that wasn't going to bite my 3-year-old daughter in the face, because her face and the mouth are right at the center. Ended up getting a lab.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. When you were saying that, I was like, I hope you got a lab.
Yeah, I did.
But then there's the other side of it. You
Yeah.
know, I had a chow, and when my son was little, or when I was pregnant with him, everybody's, you gotta get rid of her. You can't have a chow around the baby.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can't have a chow. She was his biggest fan. I mean, she looked
Yeah.
after my son, and
Yeah.
I mean, he could crawl on her and anything. She never cared. She just, so
So-
it's not always breed specific
No.
like people believe it is.
So the thing with that is, with those two examples, is the breed tendency, right? The breed characteristics play a big role. So you went with the breed tendency. You did your research, you did with the breed tendency. And then what happened with your chow was it was a temperament. So that's the thing. Like, I was thinking lab when you said, and you got a lab, and it probably worked out great. But there are labs that would not do well because their temperament, right? What they come to the world with, that trumps breed.
Right,
That
right.
trumps genetic traits. So that's why, it obviously worked out. The chances of you getting a good dog for your children was very high because you went with the breed characteristics. And in your case, it worked out really well because even though that breed, your friends were actually looking out for you. They were right.
I wasn't
But-
getting rid of my dog.
But the
though.
temperament of your
It
dog,
was already there.
yeah, it allowed for that to be a a good story.
Safe
You know what I
environment.
mean? So
So when I found the lab, we found it day after Christmas at Austin Humane.
nice.
And I didn't realize how lucky I was because right before Christmas Eve, the dog was dropped off. People were moving and couldn't take it. It was 18 months old, out of the puppy stage for the most part.
Oh yeah.
And we had come in right the day after Christmas. They're short-staffed, and so were all the rescues that are very specific to breeds. They
Yeah.
come, they come and take the labs and everything
Yeah.
out. Paperwork hadn't been put in there, and I just kind of said, "No, I'm taking that one." And
that worked out amazing.
Yeah, well, I
Good
actually,
timing.
I had this helper there came up to me and said, "I'm going to tell you to do something because I see your kids and you with that dog." And I said, "Yes, ma'am." And she goes, "You're going to get yelled at. I'm going to tell you that right now. I need you to pull that piece of paper, and when you go up and say that this is the dog you're interested in, and they yell at you, it says not to pull that sheet of paper. It says, I'm sorry, I misread that." She goes, "Because someone else is over there asking me, can it sniff drugs? Can it do this? Can it do
Oh,
that?"
yeah.
And she goes, "Every red flag," you mentioned red flags.
Yeah,
earlier.
yeah.
Every red flag went up, and they said, "We're not going to adopt it to that person. It's just easier if you
Yeah.
go." So we ended up leaving with the lab.
That's awesome.
That's kind of, wasn't a puppy, and
Yeah.
just kind of came into the loving home with my kids. And
Yeah, the puppy stages are definitely challenging. So if you get to skip that, that's pretty awesome.
yes, I would skip that every time.
Yes.
The lab. I've heard people tell me the stories.
My lab, when he was a puppy, I literally sent him to daycare during the day. I had a lady who had a daycare for dogs, and
Uh-huh.
she would come and pick him up
Mm-hmm.
and take him to her ranch, and he played with all the other dogs, and then she'd bring him home. So by the time I got home, he was worn out. It's the only way I could do it.
Yeah.
It's the only
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
So I do want to circle back to your board and train.
Yes, sir.
You said, I know you take a low number of dogs and at times, and you focus your week on your private trainings.
Mm-hmm.
When someone comes to pick up their dog and you start going, is that a one-on-one? Are you doing it with a group of people, or do they have 100% of your time?
It's 100% my attention, and so this is the go home lesson. So they stay with me for a month, and the owner comes to pick up the dog, and then I'm very thorough. So I block out my entire afternoon. So if they come in the morning, I block out my entire morning just for that person. Some of the go home lessons have been like an hour and a half, and some of the go home lessons, the latest one I had was like 4 hours, and I'm okay with that because I want to make sure that all questions get answered before the dog goes home.
Okay, it's, I can see when you're telling us about you're giving the training with the pet owner, because I've always wondered, it's only as good. I mean, you've trained the dog, but the owner's got to get.
They have to, absolutely. Which is why I made it clear that I make it clear to them. I'm like, look, you want to come back next week? Come back next week. If you have a question tomorrow, let me know. We'll get on a call, and I'll spend as much time with you on the phone as I need to make sure that your question gets answered. So it is very important to me that happens. It needs to. The owner needs to understand, and I'll do everything in my power to make sure that they understand. And if it's not clear, if it's a little bit hazy, then I'll spend as much time. And if I tell them, look, come back, so we can do another lesson, come back, we'll do another lesson.
Okay.
And no extra cost.
You've set the dog and the owner. You've set the family up for success.
That's my goal, correct? Yeah. And I've been doing it for 15 years. And there was a little bit of trial and error. At first, it was more like, okay, I train your dog. Take the dog home. This is what you do. Call me if you need anything. I've also trained dog trainers, so I understand the importance of the human understanding what goes into it as well.
Got you. Okay.
So,
So, I was looking over your website. I saw a customer had sent a testimonial in. I read it, and I'm like, no, no way. You not talked about this earlier, but I've got to just share this. Okay. I read where you've helped a German Shepherd that had an intense prey drive every day with squirrels and knocking down fences, and
yes, I remember.
didn't get what it wanted, and it could turn its frustration on its owner. They contacted you, and you were able to help the dog in just 3 days with electronic collar.
Yes.
Explain
Yeah.
how, because I saw the picture of the dog. That was a big dog.
Yeah. So remember how I mentioned that I have the video library?
Yes.
Right. So I make that accessible to my clients. But I do have a bit of a following on social media. You know, I do have a bit of a following on YouTube. So if people wanted to just go, hey, I just want access to the videos, they can do that for a low monthly fee.
Okay.
So what this particular client you're talking about is somebody who contacted me through social media, right? So I mentioned earlier, I have over 1,000 videos on YouTube, and like probably more than half of them are how-tos and advice on how to do this with your dog or how to address this issue with your dog. So they basically found me through social media. They follow me on social media, and they message me. And you know, a lot of people do that. They message me. They're like, "Yeah, I have a question about this, this, and this. I'm having this problem. What do you suggest?" So when people message me on social media, I don't just ignore them. I reply to everybody that messages me. You know, at least I try to. But I also don't give them just quick, just do this. Because sometimes that can be a little bit too, maybe not dangerous, but maybe not responsible.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like just to tell them, yeah, just get an e-collar and do this, this, and that. So what I did is I was like, okay, this definitely needs a little bit more thorough intervention here. So I got on a call with the owner, and I did an entire consultation. Tell me what's happening, right? Like we went very, very deep into it. And you know, they sent me videos. I sent them, you know, information. I sent them, gave them access to the website, to the video library, and just basically I would just walk them through it, and I would tell them just through long distance, just through virtual training, essentially. Would tell them, this is what I want you to do. These are some of the things that you're gonna notice that might happen. So basically, what happened with that particular dog, without dragging it too long, what happened with that dog was, you know, if I remember the details, if he saw a squirrel, he would just go crazy. It just could not just focus. He just had to be at the fence. He would start tearing the fence. So this is where, you know, to answer your question about the e-collar, which that in itself is a separate topic, full of controversy. But essentially what we did is I told him, look, what the electronic collar does is it separates you from the feedback. Like if I talk to the dog, if I go, hey Fido, stop doing that, what happens is Fido will look at me and he'll go, you have a problem with me tearing the fence. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But if I go, look, I'm not going to give you any feedback. The only feedback that you're going to get is tactile through a remote device. And the dog cannot look at me and go, you have a problem with me tearing the fence. The dog will look at the fence and go, this is not the most convenient thing for me to do.
Oh, okay.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And so the reason we did it the reason we approached it that way was because, you know, they understood that them just yelling at the dog just created that frustration. So if they went to grab the dog will get mad. Like, I'm just doing something that I really want to do, you're getting in my way, and that's when the conflict happens. So by using a device that separates you from that, but doesn't remove the tactile communication, then the dog goes, it's not a human problem, I should probably just not do this. And so essentially that's how we addressed it very quickly, and then they gave me some feedback. They were like, this was amazing.
3 days.
That's awesome.
Basically three sessions, yeah.
Wow.
Basically 3 sessions, yeah. But the biggest thing out of that one is, it's not like it took 3 necessarily, but it's that the owners understood something that they didn't know. You know, they understood something.
It's amazing what education can do.
It really is. Like, you know, I make a lot of analogies with vehicles. I'm not a mechanic. So, you know, every little thing that I learn about my vehicle, I'm like, oh, this makes sense, right? Okay, this noise is happening. Okay, it must be because this needs to be addressed, right? So the little education tiny little bit of education, I'm by far not even a DIYer. I can change spark plugs and change my oil and, you know, put air on my tire. That's about it, right? But, you know, just little things like that make you so much more aware than being completely clueless and going, I have no idea why this light is, you know, on my dashboard. I don't even know what that means. So education definitely comes a long way.
That's awesome. I mean, I when I read the story, I was a little brief story on it. I was like, no,
Yeah.
3 days, and that's a big. I mean, tearing the fence up.
Yeah.
How to get the squirrel every day,
Yeah.
and then, like you said, as you pointed out, the owner intervenes, tries to want his fence tore up, tries to pull it. Well, then that's a no-win because now the dog's mad,
The dog's mad. The dog is now seeing you as competition.
and you're causing the
Yeah.
frustration now.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's it was enlightening reading that and seeing how so quickly something could turn around.
Yeah, yeah.
So you help people with everyday issues that can make a dog not enjoyable. I mean, so some of the examples is a dog's constantly jumping, or chasing animals or other dogs, or pulling on walks, not coming back when called, dogs showing dangerous behaviors like aggression or getting close, young dog learning bad habits. You know, how hard is it to break these bad habits, and how much training does the dog owner need once the dog is trained?
So as far as, you know, how to address all these things, it really depends. It's a case by case, you know. But the foundation of it is, why is your dog doing these things? You know, and it could be a number of reasons. Like you know, the dog showing dangerous behavior. It might be for a number of reasons. It might be the dog is understimulated. Right? So if the dog is basically furniture in the house all day, but it's a working dog, or if you have an American Bulldog, and all you do is you just have him in the house just watching TV, and you take him for one little walk every 3 days, you're gonna have a problem. So if the problem is that, then we'll go, okay, we need to increase the stimulation that this dog has on a daily routine. You know what I mean? It needs to be something as simple as that. You have a Ferrari that's just sitting in your garage and you're just taking it around the driveway. It just needs to be a bulldog. So when that happens, they're gonna be bored. They're gonna be like, I just want to, you know, charge at things. I want to do things that are just power driven. So we'll go. We need to address that, and then we'll see how that goes. And sometimes that's not it. Sometimes the dog has plenty of stimulation, and the owners do everything they can to provide the dog with plenty of exercise. But the dog still goes, I want to charge at that dog. Then we'll go, okay, what could be causing that? A lot of times I'll ask him, what are you walking him with? And they'll go, a harness. Problem number one right there. All a harness does is it creates opposition reflex. It makes the dog want to pull even more. So the pulling, you're thinking you're restraining your dog, you're actually encouraging your dog to pull. Which is why we put harnesses on sled dogs. Which is why we put harnesses on dogs that carry weights. Because it triggers that intrinsic response of wanting to pull in the opposite direction.
Oh, okay.
So that could be another problem. So we might be, okay, let's switch to something else. And sometimes the problem is, you know, the dog is on a prong collar. I have nothing against prong collars if used properly. A prong collar is one of those metal,
right.
You know what I'm talking about? So if you don't know how to use them, what it does is it creates a lot of frustration. Because the dog is pulling and they're just feeling this, and they don't understand, they're not getting any feedback from you, they just feel this, and now that's just adding fuel to the fire. So it could be that. It could also be, it might be none of those things. It might just be the dog just wants to kick somebody else in the shins, right? He just wants to kick somebody in the crotch, right? That's what he wants to do. Okay, let's give that dog some strategies to deal with it and let him know we don't do that. This is how we walk on a leash. And some of these things are unacceptable. You know, and that might be the problem. So it varies from dog to dog, from situation to situation. And a lot of it gets addressed through education. You know, just by me letting the owner know, you know, or asking from the owner, what do you do? This is what I do. Okay, we need to change this. Also, you're gonna need to change this also. You're gonna have to implement this. And also, we're gonna let the dog know these are some things that we just don't do. Now, we all have children. We've all been children. There were things we wanted to do that at the moment we thought were the best idea, but our parents knew better and they told us, don't do that. And you would go, I want to do it. And they would tell you, no, that's unacceptable. You're just not doing that. And so that's a lot of times what happens with dogs is they don't know. Like they don't know that chasing that squirrel could lead to them getting hit by a car, right? They don't know these things. So that's where we, as the parents, have to step in and let them know, I know you want to do that, but that's just not an option.
You mentioned working dog, and I've learned a lot over the last 3 or 4 months, the definition of a working dog and the classification, and that's the difference of having a domesticated dog and a working dog at the energy levels are can be a lot different, and
Yes,
there's
sir.
a lot more that you have to do to set yourself up for success.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So I was looking over your social media and noticed you take time to post answers to the common questions that you get asked,
Yes, sir.
like, why does my dog eat food?
Yes.
You had it linked to 30-some minute video
Yes, sir.
going on that. Do you get calls every week asking you different behavioral issues with their dog?
So I don't get so many calls. I'll get a lot of messages. So I'll get comments, I'll get messages, and I'm happy to respond. You know, I'm a big proponent of information.
Mm-hmm.
So the more information I can give, I don't feel threatened by it. You know, I don't feel threatened by my clients knowing plenty of information, my prospect clients having plenty of information, competitors having the information that I have. I just like to put everything out there. So when people message me, you know, about specific issues, sometimes I'll ask them more, you know, thorough questions. Give me a little bit more detail on this. And if it's something that I've already seen or that I've already responded to, I'll point them to the video that I made on that specific topic.
Gotcha.
If it's something that I haven't covered, then I'll plan on, okay, that's a good topic for me to cover. So then I'll do that.
Information's great. Having the tool, knowing how to use the information, that's another. And
Yes.
it starts conversations.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I watched your video and it was very informational. You were helping people. I think you said you had 2 people reach out to you that week about the same topic.
Yes, sir. Yeah. It's kind of a common, not too common, but not unheard of. You know, dogs eating poop.
So, alright, so what brought you here today is our dog, Spud McKenzie. So let's talk about him. Friends of Animals, Spud McKenzie is basically his Friends of Animals deaf dog. And after the show, you're going to take him with you.
Yes.
And how are you going to train a dog that can't hear?
So that is a very specific type of training. So a dog that can't hear, the only way that they can get feedback from you is by looking at you.
Correct.
And
when,
they're not.
when his butt's facing me,
You can't do anything. You can tap. You can stomp on the ground. You can do all kinds of
Regina
things.
and I have yelled at each other more, it just kind of as a casual, like, you know he can't hear you. Right?
You kind of forget.
Yes. So, you know, what I'll do with Spud is this. I'm going to go back to the electronic collar here. The electronic collar is going to give me the vehicle to communicate with Spud in a tactile manner. So with a deaf dog, you can communicate with them only if they're looking at you. And if they're not looking at you, the next best way to communicate with them is by touching them. Well, that's a very difficult endeavor.
Mm-hmm.
You constantly have to touch them, especially when they're 30, 20 feet away.
Yes.
Right? So what we can do is we can use technology. And the technology allows us to touch them from a distance. So that's where the electronic collar shines. It's just such an amazing tool because it'll give me the means to be able to, when he's not looking at me, to touch him. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
he'll get a touch, which he'll learn. This touch means look at me, or this touch means come back to me. And then once you look at me or come back to me, then I can give you more direction through hand signals to do this or go there or stay there. So essentially, that's going to be the protocol for Spud.
We're excited.
We're excited that you're allowing us to set him up for success for his new owner. So, kind of last question on Spud here, but how much training, because he's deaf, will the owner do?
It'll be the same thing. So I'll do the go home lesson with the owner. The owner is going to get that same care that I give to every client, which is, look, once you take the dog home, you have a question tomorrow, let me know. You get a question next week, let me know. You want to come back for a follow-up to kind of sharpen up your abilities of handling Spud, come back, we'll set an appointment. No cost, and then we'll do that until you are comfortable doing it.
Got you. So tell us the best way for someone to get a hold of you for dog training, or if they have questions to see if you could help them with their dog's behavior.
Absolutely. So you can get a hold of me by, you can call me, you can text me. My cell phone number is 254-294-7781. Also have another number, I just don't remember it, but that one works too. The website is canisfortis.net. You can email me. You can email me by reaching info@canisfortis.net.
Okay.
But also, if you go on Facebook, if you're on Facebook, you can look up Canis Fortis Dog Training,
Okay.
or Canis Fortis Dog Company. And so that's another way. If you go to my YouTube channel is Dog Training is My Passion.
Okay.
So it's just all together, Dog Training is My Passion. Look it up on YouTube, and you'll see like over 1,000 videos on
Okay.
there on various topics. So,
All right. Well, we will definitely leave all his contact information on the show notes and put a post going out of our show to how people can get a hold of you. Also, you work with dogs in Central Texas, surrounding areas, going like we talked about, Waco, Harker Heights, Killeen, Coppers Cove, Brownwood, Austin, Liberty Hill, Georgetown, San Angelo.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're available to people definitely in Central Texas.
yes, sir.
All right, my final question to you: what in the world do I have to do to get my dogs not to bark when the UPS man hits my doorbell?
That might be one of those. I would need additional details on that as well.
The UPS man hits the doorbell.
Yeah. So I would ask you then is, we can make it as brief or as long as you wanted to, but like some of the questions that I would ask is, how long has he been doing it? Is it just a UPS guy? Is it anybody else?
It's anybody. The UPS man, it's a joke for him. He gets the tactile reinforcement from laughing on his way out.
I gotcha.
But I'll talk to you off there.
Yeah,
how to do
sure.
how to do that. Thank you, William, for coming in here.
Thank you.
I hope to have you back here more.
Absolutely.
You have great information to offer. I've learned more about the resources you have out there, and we definitely want to make those available on our website. We appreciate what you're doing for Spuds McKenzie. I don't know if everyone realizes, but basically you're volunteering your time for 4 weeks, and we're providing the food, we're paying for the food and the e-collar, and you're doing the rest.
Yes, sir.
And we're 100% donation based, volunteer based, so we can't tell you how much you're helping this dog get
It's my pleasure.
set up for success. So anything we can do to help you, please let us know.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I'll make this brief. Our pet fact of the week: although cheetahs can sprint up to 70 miles per hour in 30 seconds, greyhounds are actually faster overall because they can maintain an average speed of 35 miles an hour for 7 miles, about
Wow.
7 miles. So it makes them faster overall. Pretty interesting.
Wow.
I want to take a moment and thank Casey's Garage, Kelly Brown. Our lawnmower that we raffled off last week, he did a complete tune-up and cleaned the carburetor on that for us so that the owner could have a pretty much brand new mower. So thank you, Kelly Brown at Casey's Garage. His phone number is 325-247-0683. I also want to thank Napa Automotive. We put a brand new battery in there and they gave us one great deal, so thank you, Napa Automotive. Just real quick on our fosters, we still have Miss Sunshine. She is our porch cat barn cat looking for a forever home. And her foster is moving, so we do need to rehome her as soon as possible, along with her 2 male kitties, Sunrise and Sunset. They are about 10 weeks old, playful, sweet yellow tabbies. Both are looking for their forever home. We've also got Sunny. He is also a male. He is about 11 weeks old, and his foster says that he's just a bundle of joy, and we're looking for his forever home as well. We have Storm, Thunder, Rain, and Misty, and they will be ready June 1st, so they're available for pre-adoption. They are furry little babies. They're just doll babies. 2 of them are bobtail, cute little kittens. They're looking for their forever home, and you can see pictures on our Facebook page. We've been posting pictures and videos, and so that you can get a better feel for them. We also have an adult male cat. He is a love bug. His name is Blondie. He's kind of that blonde color rather than a yellow. Sweet, 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 very vocal, loves affection, and he did have an injured leg that is healing, and he's looking for his forever home. He's a great lap kitty. So if anybody's just looking for that cat that is already an adult, he needs a home as soon as possible as well. We've mentioned Spud, our 6-month-old little boy that is deaf that William's going to be working with for us. He is available for pre-adoption. We would love to have him pre-adopted before he finishes training, so that he can go into his forever home instead of making another change and readjusting, and then also so his owners can work with you on that as well. So Spud is available for pre-adoption. We are still in need of a TNR coordinator and other volunteers, so if you're interested in volunteering, please reach out to us at 372-PETS, extension 0. Don't forget, our Little Caesars Pizza fundraiser is almost over. You've got till May 15th to order that cheesy bread or the pizza kits. When you order that, it'll be mailed straight to your home from FedEx, and so and we get a portion of each sale. So please check that out on our Facebook page. Just a reminder, we have our golf tournament coming up on September 14th. Another reminder, we're still looking for land for our shelters, so if you have any connections, please reach out to us. Again, I want to thank you, William Garido, for joining us with Canis Fortis Dog Training. And again, if you want to reach him, that's CanisFortis.net. So definitely reach out to him, and thank you for everybody for listening.